Hello. Okay. We are live. Let me turn some light on. It's not bright enough in here. That's better. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Hit that like button as you enter the room, please, and thank you. I fixed the sound problem with my microphone, as you can tell. And I can see it because I can see the little green lights moving on there. So I'm just waiting for everybody to come on in. Come on in. Welcome to Locs Talk Live. Oh, look at me over here with my tongue twisted mess. So yeah, let me put something in the chat. Yes, I did. What? Hmm? What? It what? Welcome to Locs Talk Live, where I talk about all things locks and loose natural hair. I'm just waiting for some folks to come on in. Anyway, let me introduce myself. My name is Pamela, affectionately known to many people as Pammie Locs or Pammie, and I am the writer of the blog Locs Talk. I call it Locs Talk, of course, because I am a lock diva, but it's not just about locks. I talk about locks and loose natural hair care. Now, my extensive knowledge in loose natural hair care goes way back because my mother was a cosmetologist and she taught me and my sisters and I, if I want to be formal, from childhood, from very little growing up. So I've known hair my entire life um, and got more formal training in it later on in life. But yes, I've known natural hair my entire life. Unfortunately, when you do go to beauty school, a lot of the standards that are taught to you does not equate to the standards of European straight hair only, and not so much with loose natural hair, which is why I went on the mission and the quest to learn more and more about our hair, how to care for it, how to keep up with it, and all those different things and such. Um, I have been locked. I'm going on 8 years. I'm going on 8 years locked effectively. You ready for it? Effectively, March 5th, 2023. That's the year it is, right? Yeah. I'm getting old. Be 8 years locked. That will make me 19 years now since I've gone completely back into my natural phase. So the knowledge is deep and strong. I am not only am I a lactician, but I'm a loctologist. I'm a lactician because I start and maintain locks, right? And educational locks. I'm a lockologist because I know that the lock community is an ever evolving community, and therefore you have to be open minded to learning as things evolve and change. But also have an extensive knowledge of the history. So it's not just enough to know what's going on currently, but know the history, the origins of where something comes from. Because without knowing the origins, it's hard to kind of look forward into the future, if you know what I mean, you know. Um, so yeah, I said before, and I'll say it again, consistency versus persistence. No one's come in yet, and that's okay. That is okay, because at the end of the day, I am going to always keep in mind that without persistence, progress cannot be made. I will not be consistent until I get to a certain level. I will remain persistent. So once I am there, now it's a new goal to set and reach higher and further. Yes? So, welcome to Locs Talk Live. I'm here for 1 hour, 7 to 8 p.m. every Wednesday. Come in, ask your questions. This is where, like, if you don't need to schedule an entire consultation because you have maybe one or two questions that are very simplistic and could benefit everybody. Consultations are more for your own specific needs, like issues that you may be having personally with yourself that you don't want to really put out there with other people to, because sometimes people, they're afraid to ask questions because they're afraid of judgment. This is a safe place to ask your questions because I'm not going to tolerate the other stuff. Yeah, they will be deleted and blocked real quick. So always know that. Other than that, yeah, this head wrap, there's a young lady on TikTok. She was teaching this, and I thought it was just so cute, and the way that I can have bangs without cutting my hair. So no, I didn't cut my hair. This is just a backwards ponytail, and the front end of it is hanging forward to create this bang that's wrapping around my face. Looking all cute and stuff. Please, as you enter in, don't forget to hit that like button. This helps push my content along, and so other people can join in on this live. All right. So I'm going to just continue to wait. Oh, I see somebody came in. So welcome to Locs Talk. Please hit that like button as you come in. Say hi in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to post those questions. I am looking forward to having a conversation with everybody this evening. Thank you so much. Who was that just came in? Because it doesn't show me who you are. Just say hello. A quick hi in the chat. So I can say hi back to you. Hello. Okay. So I will open up with the first question because there was a question that was asked of me this morning. My cousin posted it on my timeline on Facebook. So this was a question asked from my cousin Kim. She asked me, are faux locks a protective style? Now, before I get further into this, faux locks, Faux is pronounced faux, not fox. It's faux locks, okay? And to answer that question, yes, faux locks are a protective style. But to get further and deeper into protective styles, the second part of her question was, how long do you suggest keeping in a protective style? Quietly. How long do you suggest leaving in a protective style? Right? The maximum or minimum, whatever way you want to look at it, the suggested length of time that a protective style should be in your hair is 6 weeks. Go out the door. Just go. It's okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah, I am still, at home, so I'm in the room with the front door right there. Okay, so continuing on, the recommended time to keep a protective style in your hair is 6 to 8 weeks. Now, if you intend to continuously put styles in your hair, like protective styles in your hair, It's recommended that when you take them out, to keep it out for at least a week to allow your scalp to really rest and heal from any tension and pulling that may have occurred from braiding it, or things like that. Because oftentimes people will go and get faux locks in their hair, or braids in their hair, and the friction of the weight of the extended hair, especially if you have braids and weaves in your hair, can really put a lot of tension on your scalp. So you want to give your scalp enough time to really heal and do its thing before you reinstall another one. This is the mistake a lot of people make, and it results in traction alopecia, where you lose hair because your follicles become so inflamed that they cannot, the stress of holding onto your hair, they just cannot do anymore. So it's very important to make sure you give your hair enough time to rest in between, and not to go extended long periods of time between reinstallments, taking it out, rest, reinstallment. Even with weaves, I know it's probably because it's so expensive that people keep it in for as long as they do, but it can be very damaging to your hair to keep, protective styles, especially weaves, in for way too long. So you have to give your scalp time to really breathe and heal. Second part, before installing a protective style, and I see this very often, especially like when the stylist is doing a demo video showing them start to finish and the process and all of that. One of the processes that I see skipped all too often is when I see damaged ends, split ends that just does not look great, very unhealthy, not just split ends, but dead hair. You have to cut that off before installing a protective style. The purpose, the primary purpose, there's a number of reasons why you get protective styles, but the primary purpose of putting a protective style in your hair is generally to protect the ends of your hair and to keep them from breaking off. You want to give it a break, so you're not manipulating it too often and too long. So that's the whole purpose of putting in a protective style. So that answers that question about protective styles. I can name a number of different styles that are protective styles. You don't necessarily have to get braids put in your hair, or extensions, or weave, or wear a wig to protect your hair. You can style your hair in just normal things, like anything that's going to tuck away the ends of your hair that you can wear for a little while and not touch it every single day. That's considered a protective style. Like even a wash and go, where you wash your hair and moisturize it really good and just get a nice curl, where you're not doing so much stuff to be messing with the ends of your hair, and you just let it go like you do your set and just wear it every single day without touching it after that first initial setup. That's still considered a protective style. Anything you do to your hair that keeps you from manipulating or messing with the ends of your hair too much is a protective style. It's more protective as your ends are tucked away so they can't be touched or manipulated in any kind of way. But your hair can still be worn out. You don't have to put braids and extensions in your hair to have a protective style. And you can just braid your natural hair, and that's a protective style as well. So it's a number of different things. Regular, if you twist your hair, that's a protective style. Stuff like that. Anything where you're not constantly combing and pulling and tugging at the ends of your hair, causing it to get more dehydrated and damaged and breaking off. You want to not manipulate it. That's the whole point of a protective style. So we're roughly about 15 minutes into this live session, and we talked about that. So what was another question that was asked of me? Another question that was asked of me was about moisture. I did a series of shorts over the past week answering the question, but I'm going to answer it to an extension all in one length of time here on the live. The question was, how often should I moisturize my hair and how much should I use? Now, that's an excellent question, but there's no one answer to the question. And this comes down to understanding why it's important for you to learn the ins and outs of your own personal crown. Number one, it's more to it than saying, oh, I have 4C hair. You can put two people with 4C hair next to each other and their hair will look completely different. And you're like, how? Very easy. Because your hair type is based on a number of things. It's not just like, oh, it's 4C or 3A or, things like that. Really, the hair type is really talking about the curl pattern more than anything, right? But everything else is not incorporated in that. So 4C is probably the tightest and more curl pattern that your hair has. However, there are other factors about your hair you still need to know about in order for you to determine how and how much you need to moisturize your hair. There are three factors that you have to keep in mind when it comes down to moisturizing your hair. Okay? There's density, there's texture, and then there's porosity. Now, the porosity is the most important one because that will determine how much you need to moisturize your hair. Welcome to my live. Please don't forget to hit that like button as you come in. Say hello in the chat. I can't see who you are unless you say something to me in the chat. But we're talking about moisture right now, okay? Now, this answer is whether you are locked or loose natural, this answer for moisture is for you. It is very important for you to understand and know what your hair type is. And I'm not just talking about the simplistic of 4C or 3A or whatever. I am talking about knowing how the density of your hair, knowing the texture of your hair, and understanding and knowing what the porosity of your hair is. This is how you can develop what moisture routine you're going to use on your personal hair. So the density is said as this, okay? Density is the number of hair strands that grows per square inch, right? Now, oftentimes it's misconstrued that the density will determine how thick or thin your hair is. To an extent, yes, but not really, because with density, you can have a thick textured hair with low density. So if you've ever met a person where they look like they have a full head of hair, but then when you go to braid their hair or something like that, it looks very scalpy because the sections between their parts is really wide. That's a person with low density hair. However, the texture of their hair might still be thick because it gets full when it's not, parted and separated. Hey, welcome. Come on in. Hit that like button as you enter into this chat, okay? So that moves into texture. Now, with texture of the hair, that determines if your hair is thin and fine all the way to really coarse and thick, right? So thin and fine, there are two layers of the hair, right? There's the cuticle and then the next layer in. So it's just those two. So the hair is going to be really fine and thin, almost translucent. So like even when it's out, you can literally see through the hair. That's thin hair, right? Then there's the medium hair. There's three layers to that, right? And with that, you got the cuticle cortex area, right? That's going to make your hair fuller, right? And again, sort of it can be translucent. It depends on the curl pattern of your hair, right? So if it's more full, you're not going to see much through it. But if it's not, you can still, it depends on the lighting and where you are. You might see through it a little bit, but most of the time it appears much thicker than fine hair, right? And then coarse, also 3 layers. Thickest hair, texture is really thick, really hard and tough to break. However, if it's dehydrated and not moisturized properly, it damn sure will break. That's why a lot of times when you meet a person who does have really thick and coarse hair in the feces, in the 4C category, if their hair is not properly moisturized, it easily breaks off. I get that a lot, especially with my clients who has really thick texture and density and a really tight curl pattern where, like, okay, the hair can look this short, but when you stretch it out, it's like 2 feet long. Yeah. Yeah, that's 4C hair, right? That person definitely going to have a good moisture routine. Now we're going to move into the third factor that you need to make sure you know before you determine how much you're going to moisturize your hair, and that's your hair porosity. Your hair porosity is going to do, it's really determines how much moisture your hair can take in and retain over a period of time. Porosity is really just the openings in something that water can go in and how long it can, and the capacity of which can go in and be held there for a length of time before you have to rehydrate that area. Think of a sponge. All those little circles are pores. That's the porosity, right? If you think of a sea sponge versus one of those little colorful sponges, and I'm going to get back to why I said to refer to those two. So now there are 3 levels of porosity. We're going to start with low porosity hair. Low porosity hair oftentimes is considered extremely healthy hair because that protection from the cuticles are like scales. So they really lay flat like this on top of each other. And it's tight, it's flat and tight. So in order for moisture to get in there, you have to use a moisturizer that is more liquid based as opposed to those creamy moisturizers, which will just pretty much sit on top of this and not really penetrate the hair. But it will create a barrier, not allowing other liquefied moistures to get in there. Some of the best ways to moisturize low Okay, I'm so sorry. My signal, for whatever reason, it went away. So getting back to it, I was talking about low porosity. When you have those, you definitely need something that's more liquefied to help it swell so it can open slightly like that and let moisture in. Once it's in there, it will definitely hold and stay there for a good amount of time before it evaporates and you have to do it again. So the next level is medium porosity. That is the easiest level to maintain moisture. And I'm going to tell you why. Because with medium porosity here, you still have the cuticles. The cuticles is the very outer layer of your hair. That's right outside. That's the protective barrier. Now the cuticles on medium porosity hair is slightly open like this, right? So it makes it very easy for moisture to get in. But because it's only slightly open like this, once it's in there, it'll maintain and hold that moisture in there for a good amount of time, right? And then there is high porosity hair. High porosity hair is probably the hardest hair to keep moisturized because, again, the cuticles are like this, but on high porosity hair, they wide open like this, right? So water or moisture can get in there and it could fall right back out just as quickly because it's wide open. It's like putting water in my mouth and talking, and the water just flows right back out of my mouth, right? We don't want that. That don't look cute. That's not cute. So with all of that being said, to answer the question now, moisturizing your hair is based on those three elements: density, texture, and porosity. If your hair is really thin and fine and the density is low, right? Then you don't want to put too much because then your hair will become too saturated and just be weighed down. So you want something that's lightweight, but that's going to moisturize your hair. Now, how much is based on porosity? If you have low porosity hair, using more of a liquid-based moisturizer. My favorite for my locks is Refresher Spray, like this, right? And if you can see, it's just a light mist, right? It doesn't take a whole lot of it. However, but if you have low porosity hair and you have to get it to get under those little tight cuticles, you need to put a little more than a person who has medium or high porosity. High porosity, I don't recommend a whole lot of this. You can use light mist, water, conditioner, but I would recommend an additional, like a thicker density leave-in creamy like leave-in conditioner that helps to help hold and maintain moisture when you have high porosity hair. And that's very important because it'll hold and keep moisture in your hair a little bit longer. Also, with high porosity hair, it's absolutely 100% important to condition your hair every single time you wash your hair. Oftentimes, it's a recommendation that in between your washes, you just do what we call a co-wash, where it's just you rinse your hair, you put conditioner in it, you massage it in, and it also can clean your hair off quite a bit too. That helps keep and elevate your hair moisture as well, especially if you have high porosity hair. Something you can do with medium porosity hair as well and low porosity hair, but you don't have to do it as often. High porosity, yeah. So like if you wash your hair every 2 weeks, for example, hair wash, condition. Then next week, you can just do a co-wash, right? Rinse, condition, so you can continue with that moisture. And then wash day again the next week. So it's every week, something's being done to your hair. It doesn't necessarily have to be shampooed every week, but definitely conditioning. And this is what I'm talking about for high porosity hair. In general, again, washing your hair, the same thing. It really comes down to what you put in your hair. I don't put a lot of product in my hair. I have absolutely fantastic products, and I do have a big stash of it, but it's people. I'm not going to buy this ginormous stash of stuff if it's just me, because I don't use products saturated way up here where I need to have that much product on my shelf for myself. I have a lot, like I said, because I'm a loctician, so I do share what I have with my clients. So that is definitely very important in making sure that when you moisturize your hair, you know those elements, know the density of your hair, know the texture of your hair, know the porosity of your hair. These are things that you can learn going to your stylist and they do it for you. Or I do have a full extension video talking about porosity, texture, and all of that stuff, and teaches you how to test the porosity of your own hair and all of that stuff. So, excuse me, when I post this, I will put on the end of that video, if you want to look at it, so you can have a better understanding and full details of how to look and understand what the texture, density, and porosity of your hair is. Okay. So we're a half hour in. So I'm learning how to talk and answer questions, even if I don't have a lot of people in my chat. And that's a wonderful thing. So growth, that's growth. What's celebrating, right? Let me think of the next question that I have. What was the next question? It was another question somebody asked me about. Oh, somebody asked me this about my hair. My hair, when it is down, my hair is approximately now like 2.5 feet long. Yeah, my locks is like about 28 inches or something like that. So it's right at my derriere, my bootylicious length hair. My goal is to get hip length and then just keep it trimmed at that point. So I'm maybe about 6 to 8 inches away from that. But to reach my hips, my hair needs to be about 3 feet long, 36 inches. So yeah, we almost there, about 8 inches off. Anyway, I was asked because your hair's so long, is it heavy? No, my hair is not heavy. Why is my hair not heavy? The reason why my hair is not heavy, again, I love being able to use products to help enhance my hair. However, I don't treat products like it's a magic potion. So, first and foremost, don't overuse and abuse product. I've seen videos of people putting like big, giant, heaping hunks of product in their hair, and then the hair they go from a voluptuous volume hair, especially our hair. Our hair grows up and out. It doesn't lay down. In order for it to lay down, we have to process it with texturizers or relaxers or extensive heat, like with silk presses and stuff like that. That's the only way our hair lays flat. We got to do a lot of stuff to make it lay flat because our hair naturally are like trees. It grows up and out. It salutes the sun. The sun loves our hair and our hair loves the sun, and they're constantly reaching for each other to greet. Right? So getting back to that, my hair is not heavy for the reason of this. I have great products. I do. And it took a lot of research and time for me to find the products that I have on my table. However, I don't abuse them. A little bit goes a long way. You do not need to pack a lot of product in your hair for your hair to strive and flourish. You understand? You don't. And doing so will only create buildup. You wind up having a whole bunch, especially if you have locks. It all gets stuck inside of your locks. It gets heavy. And now you got this heaviness going on. And then I've had people come to me saying, oh, my hair got too heavy and now I'm losing my locks. Yeah, because your scalp is not built to hold on to heavyweight things. Hair in itself is not heavy. It's only heavy when it's weighed down with too much product. So do not abuse product. Don't abuse oil. Don't abuse moisturizers and things like that. You don't need to put a whole bunch on your hair for it to work. A little goes a long way. Trust me when I tell you that. And that's when it's used properly. Welcome. Come on in. Hit the chat. Hit that like button. It's like a doorbell. Just do say I'm here, right? But it's very important to make sure that you don't overuse or abuse product. That does weigh. It doesn't weigh your hair. Now you see how my hair is just, even like the short little bit that's sticking out under there, it still moves like it does because it's not weighed down with product. Right? So you have to be careful with how much you put in your hair. If you're going to buy a large amount of product to put in your hair, make sure with the ingredients in it, it has the preservatives to last a long shelf life. Because sometimes if you think about a lot of these products that are paraben free, that means it has preservatives in it, but not the chemical compound preservatives, which is very harmful to people. But it does have natural preservatives in it. But it also, because of natural preservatives being in it, it decreases shelf life. right? Look at the date. Every product that you buy has a production date on the bottom of it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a production date on the bottom of it, and it's an expiration date on the bottom of it. Hair products do not last forever, right? So a lot of times people, they'll buy a bunch of stuff and the shelf life is 2 years. Are you going to use all of that in 2 years? Do you plan on giving some away? Do you plan on sharing? Because don't waste your money buying a whole bunch of stuff that you can't use because you don't understand that the shelf life is lesser. Every product that's out there has to have some sort of preservative in it in order for it to last, right? Now, you have products that does have parabens and phthalates in it, which is very dangerous and can cause a lot of health issues. That's why it's important to read the labels and see what's inside of products, right? But products with parabens in it in a lot of countries have been banned, but they're not banned here. So you have to look at those things too, right? Having products that's paraben free is absolutely a must in my book for me. I don't mind continuously shopping as I need. I will get as I need. I'm fortunate that I have a clientele that I can share with, so I can constantly keep shopping and buying and putting products on my shelf, right? But even when I give them information on what they can use on their hair and what they shouldn't use on their hair, I make sure they understand you have to use it in moderation, right? For example, let's use our real lives as an example. You hear a person saying, I want to be healthy, so I eat healthy food because I don't want to be overweight and all of these things, right? Did you know that if you eat too much of that healthy food, your ass can still be overweight? You can still get fat and unhealthy. You may not have like the high blood pressure and cholesterol and stuff that unhealthy foods can cause, but overindulging can still add weight to your body. You can still overeat. Did you know if you drink too much water, that can kill you? So too much of a good thing is not beneficial. Use any and all things, especially even good or not. Use it in moderation. Moderation is very important for everything. In order for your hair to truly thrive, you ready to hear this? Because I'm going to say it again, probably for the 15th time, is persistence. Not consistency. Don't moisturize your hair until you're like, oh, baby. And then you put the moisturizer down and now you're looking like a dry rag doll again. No, you have to be persistent. You got to keep doing that. You got to keep that up, right? Or, for example, it's just different things. Now, it's some things that you can be consistent with, like if you're trying to regrow hair. So you'll buy a serum to help speed up the process to give you a jump start. And after you reach a certain level, you can taper back or stop using it altogether because it's not a necessity in the rest of your journey. But you still have to be consistent with taking care of your hair and not do the things that cause you to lose it the first time, right? Just be persistent in taking care of yourself. Self-love is a very important thing. And I feel like taking care of your crown is a ritual of self-love. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? Welcome. Yes. So, yes, self-care. And a lot of times people misconstrue what self-care and self-love is. They are two different things. Self-love is much deeper than self-care. Self-care is treating yourself to a pedicure and, going to the salon and, just treating yourself and getting things, buying gifts for yourself and spending time with yourself. That's self-care. Self-love is much deeper. Self-love is things like setting boundaries, right? Self-love is things like protecting your energy. Self-love is things like protecting your peace. It's being comfortable with who you are and being okay with who you are, no matter what other people might think of you, right? So there's that difference. Did the self-love today? That's a good thing, Vanessa. Every day. Every day. Be persistent. So moving on into the next element of taking care of your hair. Heat. That was another question. Is heat damage reversible? No, it is not. Heat damage is not reversible. The only cure is got to cut it off. Because if you don't cut it away, what's going to happen? It's going to keep working its way up. Again, when it comes down to heat damage, think of a plant. And I'm sure there's some people out there, you got plants, right? If you see like browning around the edge of your leaves, right? That is a sign that the leaf is dying, right? So you got to cut that off in order for that leaf to survive and for it to not affect the rest of the plant. Same thing happens to your hair. If you see heat damage, and what happens when your hair is heat damaged, it completely changes the keratin, which is the protein that makes your hair what it is. It's the DNA of your hair. So heat, along with high chemically processing agents such as bleach and hair relaxers, can kill the keratin in your hair. And once that happens, it's irreversible. Now people think, oh, I can go get a keratin treatment. That is not the same. That is a synthetically made alternative to help maintain and keep your hair up as long as possible. But skip one session and everything becomes undone and you're done. Heat damage tab, you look at a person with loose natural hair and they have a nice curl pattern, but then at the end it looks like stringy and scraggly. Think about if you used to relax your hair, right? And you stop it, you just let your natural hair grow in and your hair is wet. Your natural hair is all thick and full, but then you get to the ends, it's all stringy and scraggly looking. That's what heat damage looks like. That's heat damage. It's dead hair. It won't curl up like it used to. It looks stringly and weird at the ends, and it needs to be cut off. Because if it doesn't, the depth of that hair is going to continue to climb up the shaft of your hair. So when people say, oh, my hair don't grow, if you are holding on to split ends and dead hair to, save length, because you're trying to preserve length, it's not going to stay. It's going to break off, and then it's going to damage the healthy hair that you're using to hold on to it. It ain't worth it. It'll grow back. Now that's moving into the next part of this. It's very important, especially when you are embarking on a new journey when it comes to your hair, to surround yourself with supporting people with open minds, people who are not judgmental of your outer appearance. It's one thing to say, oh, well, you shouldn't care about what other people think. But if you're told something enough times, you start to believe it for yourself. So it's very important for you to surround yourself with people that are not bringing you down and pulling you down and changing your mind about yourself, because their perception of you is overpowering your own perception of yourself. So I'll give you a prime example. When I went natural, I chopped all of my hair off. And when I say I went G.I. Jane, like literally my hair was like a half an inch. You can like see my scalp. That's how short my hair was when I cut my hair off initially when I started my natural journey. The negativity what did you do to your hair? Why would you do that? Because I wanted to. Because this was the start of a journey that I wanted to go on for myself. And I wanted to be natural again. I wanted to embrace my natural hair again. I didn't want to chemically process my hair again. And in doing so, I did not fully let go of the European standards of what beauty is when it comes to my hair. I was still silk pressing my hair, you know. Every now and then when I just didn't feel like doing a lot of stuff with my hair, I was still putting texturizers in my hair. So I wasn't fully natural immediately until a year and a half later when I stopped doing any kind of chemical processing in my hair, right? And that took years after that. I was, working with my natural hair, but I was still doing other stuff to alter my hair from its natural state. I'll give you an example. I've been graying. My hair has been gray, turning gray since my early 20s. I'll say it again, my early 20s. I saw my first gray. I was 22 years old, and they were increasing, right? It is in my genealogy from my dad's side of the family. Which side is he on? This dude right here. This dude right here. That guy right there. Yeah. Daddy. My father was fully gray when I was born. So I started graying very early in my life. But my esteem, my self-esteem, and my what I was taught about beauty standards when it came to hair and how it should be straight and it shouldn't be dark, and if you're young, you shouldn't have gray hair, and all these different things, right? Those were still things ringing in my head. Oh, I don't want this hair because people are going to say my hair is nappy, and so I was still straightening my hair. One thing I did not like and probably didn't participate in very much was putting weaves and wigs. That's just not my thing. I have no problem with it. I have nothing against it. It's just not something that I was comfortable with. That's just me. I put braid extensions in my hair and stuff like that, but I did not want to put a wig over my hair and stuff like that. It just felt weird to me. I had a weave a few times over my lifetime. I think I had one in when I was in a wedding, 2 weddings. I had a weave in my hair because of the aesthetics of what the bride wanted. But other than that, and that came right out after the wedding. And then, so I colored my hair. I didn't want people to know I had gray hair. It was like, because I didn't want people, it wasn't that I didn't want people to think I was old. Again, I felt like then, especially being so young, and the beauty standards that was embedded in my brain, shoved in there, I was coloring my hair. And I was using box dyes. I didn't even know about organic dyes and all of the dyes that I use now. Like, I don't use them on my hair, but like when my clients want to color their hair, I have different standards that I use when I'm coloring their hair. I do not bleach hair. So on my website, oh, I don't see bleaching on here. You're not going to see it. It's not on my surface because I don't bleach hair. That's not what I represent. So there was that. I was still holding on to that, right? It was a lot of things that I was still holding on to, and I had to gradually let go of. So for 11 years, I was natural, right? 5 of those 11 years is what it took for me to really mull it over and think about locking my hair. Because a lot of stuff came to my mind, like, okay, how is it going to stay? Because my hair, my natural hair, is very soft and wavy. So I was like, I don't even know. My knowledge of locks I was ignorant as hell. Let's just call a spade a spade. I was ignorant as hell. And there wasn't a lot of education out there because trust me, I did the research. It just wasn't available to me, right? So I was like, damn, how do I do this? So I stuck with it and I continued to research. And as I continued to continue, the information started coming, right? I said, okay, maybe I need to dig deeper, learn to understand the origins of where locks come from, and what their purposes of it was, because that helped me to figure out my why as well. So I did that. Once I learned more, and this is where my title as a lockologist comes in, is education, right? You have to know the history of something to really go forward with it, right? With anything that you're doing, you got to learn the history of it before you just delve deep into something. It's really not a smart decision to not educate yourself and get as much base information before you get involved, right? Um, so that's when the answers started coming. And as my why became clearer as far as understanding where I wanted to go spiritually in my personal life, that tied in to embracing more of my naturalness. For me, my locks is the absolute most natural that I will be. My locks is the ultimate. Also, it helps as my locks grow, it's growing with me in my spiritual growth as well. So it intertwines and comes together. My last phase of embracing my full natural self is as my locks grew in, I stopped coloring my roots. And now my grays is growing. You can't see them right now because they're covered with my ponytail being forward. But yeah, this, well, I can't even, yeah, see, there's gray all under there. See that? So I'm gray. And now that so much of it's grown in, now, I have to really get rid of the extra brassiness from the pigment that was left behind, because I want my silver undertones to really, and eventually someday I'm going to be like Queen Mother from Wakanda Forever with that beautiful white locks. And I'm looking forward to that someday. It ain't happening too soon because my gray hair is not growing in that crazy. But right now it's salt and pepper. Salt and pepper's here. So let me what it be. Vanessa says, agreed, my hair is healthier since I stopped using heat. My circle was very supportive of me embracing the curls. And that's really important. Um, to have a supportive system, especially if you are a person that is considering locking your hair, even more so, because I didn't have the support that I thought I would have when I went natural and I cut my hair off. Because again, people associate length with beauty standards as well. You have to learn to unlearn some things in order to really fully embrace something. So know that our hair always grows up and out towards the sun, right? That's first and foremost. Um, Embrace that. Don't weigh it down with products or heat or anything like that. And it's okay if you do. I'm not. There's no judgment. I'm just saying, like, if you really want to fully embrace your natural journey, those are some of the things you will have to let go of, especially more so if you have locks. Um, and I'm going to close with this story, because I'm seeing this more and more now lately. Um, Texturism is a huge thing in our community, and texturism is very similar to colorism in many ways. With your hair type, and having softer hair versus curlier hair and things like that. So hold on, somebody's coming in the house or whatnot. Sorry, my son. Um, so I've seen people who have locks in their hair that became either impatient or frustrated with what's going on with their roots, and they have unfortunately taken to relaxing their roots to make them softer, and that's a huge mistake for two reasons. It tells me that that mentality of what beauty standards are it's still a seed that's planted within your mind, and you have yet to let go of that, right? And the second is you just destroyed all of what you've done up to that point. Because if you have relaxed hair and the weight of your natural hair is pulling at it, it's going to break off. It is. Don't change the texture of your hair because of what has been going on social media. And I see it so much where, oh, don't come near me. If you don't have that thick 4C hair, you ain't really locked. Stop. Don't do that. You know, don't compare your journey to somebody else's and then judge somebody for being born with a different kind of hair. Because at the end of the day, all hair is lockable. Yeah, all hair is lockable. It may lock differently from like straighter hair, could be more matted versus curlier hair, which locks together because the curl pattern just gets tighter and tighter until it locks together, which is why you can generally comb it out and keep on going with all the length that you gained during the time that you had locks. It's because your hair is locked by curls, it's not matted together. And then most of the hair that you lose when you're combing it out is hair that you should have shedded over all that time that you had your hair locked, because you don't shed as much hair. Your hair shedding decreases by like 90% when you have locks, right? But scientifically, we all shed. If you got a dog or a cat or any kind of a furry animal that sheds, you see them losing it, you lose hair off your head the same way. We shed up to 200 strands of hair on a daily basis, and for some, even more. Okay? So, what is it? Agreed texturism. I've had to let people know it's unacceptable to say nice, good hair because it's soft hair. They always say, wow, your hair's soft. And I set them straight. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All hair is good hair. In my book, at least. Because I can handle all hair. So, and to me, good hair is healthier. When your hair is healthy, you got good hair. So we came to the end. Vanessa, if you have any questions that you would like to ask in the chat, please do so before we go. We got 2 minutes left before this Locs Talk Live ends. So do you have any questions? No? I appreciate you so much for coming and supporting and just showing up and showing out. And everyone else as well. Got to order some basil oil. You still ain't get it, girl? I'm going to fight you. I'll fight you. So, speaking of basil oil is a very good agent to have. It's very good to have in your little kit of hair stuff. With the carrier oil, you just put a few drops of basil oil in there. That helps fight against flare-up of seborrheic dermatitis, because Moisturizing yeast organism that grows on your skin that causes the flare-up of seborrheic dermatitis along with stress. Yeah, because it flares up because it activates the yeast, which causes your skin to overreact, and then your skin starts to do this thing and excrete this liquid, and all of a sudden you got all these little scabs and scales everywhere, and you're like looking around seeing who notices them, because they are very noticeable. Basically, it works against that little yeast and kills them. So get you some basil oil, baby. It's looking better because of less stress. Excellent. I'm glad. So thank you everyone for joining me tonight on Locs Talk. I was able to figure out my sound problem and able to use the camera system the way I had originally intended to do so. So I am glad of that, and I can sit comfortably on my couch without doing anything extra. So thank you again for joining me for Locs Talk Live. I will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Don't be late. Bye.